Hey guys, we're going to be Acts chapter 13. Acts chapter 13. Let me read these two verses to you. Among the prophets and teachers of the church at Antioch of Syria were Barnabas and Simeon, Lucius, who was also from Cyrene, Manaen, the childhood companion of King Herod Antipas, and Saul. One day, as these men were worshiping the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, "Dedicate Barnabas and Saul for the special work to which I have called them." So after more fasting and prayer, the men laid hands on them and sent them on their way. Barnabas and Paul were anointed. Now, God had especially called Paul at a certain point in his life. And I believe this is true of the Christian. I believe this is true of every born-again Christian, that God at some point appoints you to something that he has for you to do. Now, you can choose not to do it. I mean, in all honesty, you can. Doesn't mean God's not going to make things uncomfortable for you, because he absolutely will if you choose not to do what he's called you to do. But back to the point. That's another Vitalmin for another day. But back to the original point. Paul was called. Paul was called and anointed. He's called and anointed to suffer for the kingdom. He and Barnabas and all the different issues that all of them went through. They went through some very human issues and some arguments as such, amongst the disciples and Paul, and different things that happened along the way. But there was so much to happen to Paul. Shipwrecked, beaten, robbed, all of these things that could possibly happen to someone. It happened to him. And here he was, an anointed child of God, an anointed leader for God. As a matter of fact, and here's the thing, I say this to people, and I hope that they understand this, that there is no way to grow as close as you need to Jesus without having a Gethsemane moment. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, like Paul. Paul had a lot of moments where, he's floating in the water, possibly going to die from drowning, and it's not. There's the moments where he would like to have his this flesh issue that he has, whether it was his eyesight or whether it was something else, this thorn in his flesh that he wanted removed, and it wasn't. You go to the litany of things he talks about that he had to endure as a follower of Jesus Christ. And you will see that God's people, when they are used mightily of God, you cannot be used mightily of God and not go through Gethsemane moments. And so this is the opportunity for you to look at these verses and realize that yes, there was a time when people laid hands on them, and that was an exciting time. I bet it was a ceremony as such, and they're weeping and crying, and they're excited about being sent out by God. But what you don't realize is the battle that ensues. You have to understand that if you are going to be called and called mightily of God, then you are going to go through Gethsemane moments, meaning the moments like Jesus sat before God and cried out to him and said, "Look, if there's another way, let's do it. But if there's no other way, then let your will be done, Father." That's your moment where you are enduring the hardest things for the Lord, but you have decided it doesn't matter if I'm enduring these things because I'm doing it for my Jesus. And Lord, I don't want to have to do it this way, but if this is the only way I can bring glory to you, then let your will be done. Man, there you go. There you go. Your Gethsemane moments. And here it is. Paul's being anointed. I'm sure it was a happy, happy time. Barnabas is being anointed and sent out. Happy, happy time. But then Gethsemane moments begin, and that's when real ministry begins. Hang in there, folks. Don't give up. Keep going. Persevere. See y'all. Bye-bye.